Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable little 3D potion bottle. So I did a vote on my Instagram for which shape you'd prefer me to do first, because I might not have time to do them all, and this was by far the most requested and it got the most votes, so we're going to be doing this one today. So you will need some size 11 Delica beads. It's going to work best with Delica beads. You're going to need 3 colours, so you're going to need one for the bottle, one for the little label on the bottle, and then you'll also need a 3rd colour for the little cork. You'll also need your thread. I'm using 6 pound Fireline, and a jump ring, and your beading needle. So let's get started. So I've threaded my needle. I'm using about 1.5 arm's lengths of thread. So begin by picking up 4 of your main colour, slide those down onto your needle, and then you're going to sew back through that first one in order to bring them into a circle. So you have this. Now we're going to put one in between each of those. So pick up one and go straight into the next one. Pick up your next one, coming out here, you're going to go straight into the next one. Again, picking up one, straight down through the next one. And last one of the row, picking up one. We're going to go straight through the next one, and whenever you get to the end of a row, you're going to step up into that bead above so that you're ready to start the next row. Like that. So this time you're going to put 2 beads in between those 4 single beads on the corners. So pick up 2, coming out of this one on this corner, skip over that one underneath and go through the next one on the next corner. Pick up 2 and do the same again. So skip over one, go through the next one on the next corner. And do that 2 more times. Picking up 2 and skipping over one and going into the next one on the corner. And finally, picking up 2, skipping over one, going through the next one on the corner and up into the one after that. So you're not going to go through both of those 2 that we added, just up into the one. Like that. So now you've got this and you're coming out in between this group of 2 here. So this time we're going to add 8 beads. We're going to put one right down the centre of each of those groups of 2, splitting them in half, and then one in the gaps between them as well. So 8 beads total, so pick up one, straight down through that next bead. This time picking up one, and there's a gap here, skipping over one and into the next bead on the top row. Picking up another one, and this time you're between one of those groups of 2, so you're going to go straight down through the next one. Picking up one, again we're here where there's this little gap to fill, so you're going to skip that one and go through the next one on the top row. Picking up one, this time between one of those groups of 2 again, so straight down through the next one. Now picking up one, skipping over one and going through the next one on the top row. Picking up one and going straight down through that next bead. And now we're going to add the last bead of the row, the 8th one. So we've got that gap to fill, so skip over one, go through the next one as always, and then step up into the row above through this bead. Like that. Now we have this. This time we're just going to be adding 8 single beads in between those 8 beads we added in the row below. So the 8 beads that are on the outside edge, I'm going to pick up one, skip over one and go through the next one. Pick up one, skip over one and go through the next one. Pick up one, skip over one, go through the next one. So you're going to do that 5 more times. So when you do the last one, you skip over one, go through the next one as always, and then at the end of every row, remember you're stepping up into that next bead. Pull it nice and tight and you have this. Okay, so this time we're putting groups of 2 in between those single beads we added in the row below. So 8 groups of 2. So pick up your first group of 2, skip over the one underneath and go through the next single bead. Pick up your second group of 2, skip the one underneath and go through the next single bead on the top row. Pick up your next group of 2, skip the one underneath and go through the next one on the top row. And you're going to do that 5 more times, 5 more groups of 2. So on the last one again, skip over one, go through the next one, and then also up through the next 2 this time as well. So you're going through that last one in this row and then through the next 2 on the row above. Nice and tight, and we've got this. This time we're going to add 8 single beads and we're going to put them in the gaps between these groups of 2. See these gaps here? And we're going to go through the groups of 2 both together like this, as if they're one bead. We're not going to put a bead in between them this time. So picking up your first bead, coming out of this group of 2, you're going to skip the single bead underneath and go through the next 2 beads. Picking up your next one, skipping the one underneath and going through the next 2 beads. Picking up one, skipping the one underneath and going through the next 2 beads. And do that 5 more times. Last one I'm adding, so I'm going through the next 2 as always, but then I'm also stepping up into that single bead above. And you should have this. Okay, so from now on we're going to be alternating between those last 2 rows. So this row we're going to add 2 beads in between each of those single 8 beads we added in the row below, and then the following row we're going to add single beads in between those groups of 2, and it's going to alternate like that. So for this row we're picking up groups of 2, 8 groups of 2. So your first one, coming out here, you're going to skip the 2 underneath and go through the next one, and those 2 you're adding are going to stack above the 2 below. Like that. So you've got 2 rows of these groups of 2 now. Okay, so picking up your next group of 2. Coming out here, we're going to skip the 2 underneath and go through that next single bead. Picking up 2, skipping the 2 underneath and going through the next single bead. Picking up 2, skipping the 2 underneath and going through the next single bead. And now do that 4 more times. Okay, so on the last one, do the same thing as always. So skip the 2 underneath, go through the next single bead, but then step up through the next 2 beads. So through the next single bead and through those 2 above as well. So on these rows, where you're adding groups of 2, every time you step up, remember to step up through both of those beads at the start of the next row. That's really important to remember. Okay, so that was the row of adding 2s. So this time we're adding single beads. So you're going to add 8 single beads in between all of these groups of 2, again going through the groups of 2 together like that. picking up one, coming out here, going to skip over one and go through that next group of 2. Picking up your next one, skipping over one and going through the next group of 2. And picking up one, skipping over one, going through the next group of 2. And you're going to do that all the way around, so do that 5 more times. So remember, as always, when you add the last one of the row, go through the last 2 as always, and then step up into the next bead, and it's just a single bead this time. So now we have this. So this row we're going to do exactly the same thing with the number of beads and everything, but we're going to start with 2 black beads because we're going to start creating this little label on the front. So start by picking up 2 of your black beads and do the same thing, skip over the 2 underneath and go through the next single bead. We've got 1, 2, 3 rows of these stacked double beads. So now you're going to carry on with just purple from now on to the end of the row. So picking up 2, skipping over 2 and going through the next single bead. Picking up 2, skipping over 2 and going through the next single bead. So again, do that all the way around till you've got 8 groups of 2, so do that 5 more times. So I'm adding the last 2 of that round. So I'm going to go through, skip over 2, go through the last one and then step up. Remember at the end of these rows, step up through the 2 at the start of the next row, which is these 2 black beads. So we have this. So for this row, we're adding 8 single beads in all of those gaps again, like always, between the groups of 2. But you're going to start with a black bead and finish with a black bead. So starting with a black bead, followed by 6 purple beads, and then finishing with 1 black bead. Okay, so starting with 1 black bead, skip over 1, go through the next 2 beads. Now back to purple, picking up 1, skipping over 1 and going through the next 2 purple beads. Picking up another purple, skip over 1, go through the next 2 purple beads. So add 4 more purple beads in that way. This is going to be the last bead of the row, so you're going to pick up a black bead this time, skipping over 1, going through the next 2 as always, like that, but then also stepping up into that first black bead we added in this row. Okay, so we're starting this row here, coming out of this black bead here, so we're going to add 7 groups of 2 of purple beads, and the last one, the 8th group of 2, is going to be black. So starting here, picking up 2 purple beads, and same as always, skip over 2, go through the next single bead. Picking up 2, skip over 2 and go through the next single bead. Picking up 2, skip over 2 and go through the next single bead. So you're going to add 4 more purple groups of 2. Okay, so now we're back around to the last group of 2 and it's going to be black this time. So they're going to stack on top of these black 2. So you're going to skip over those, go through that last bead, which is the single black bead, and then step up into the 2 beads above that start the next row. And now we have this. Okay, so now we're going to do another row of single purple beads. We're done with the black now, we're not going to use any more black, so you're all purple. So 1 purple bead between all of those groups of 2, so adding 8 in total. So pick up 1, skip over 1, go through the next 2 beads. Pick up 1, skip over 1, go through the next 2, until you've got 8 beads, so do that 6 more times. Okay, and don't forget to step up through the bead at the start of the next row when you get to the end. Put it nice and tight. Okay, this is going to be our last row where we add the groups of 2. So you're going to do the same thing as always, 8 groups of 2 in between those single beads we added in the row below. So picking up 2, skipping over 2 and going through the next single bead. Picking up 2, skipping over 2 and through the next single bead, and do that 6 more times. And when you get to the end, don't forget, as always, skip over 2, go through the last one, but then step up through the next 2 beads. Pull it nice and tight. Now we have this. Okay, so for the next 4 rows, you're just going to be adding single beads. So for the first row, you're going to add 8 single beads, picking up 1, skipping over 1 and going through the next 2. Picking up 1, skipping over 1, going through the next 2. So do that all the way around until you've got 8 beads. So pick up 1, skip over 1, through the next 2. So do that 5 more times until you get to the end of the row. Don't forget when you get to the end of the row to step up into the next single bead above. So you have this. So now we're going to begin decreasing slightly the size of the bottle, because we're going to be putting 1 bead again in between each of those single beads, whereas before we would have stacked 2 here. We're going to stack just 1 and it's going to close it up a little bit. So another row of adding single beads, but this time you're picking up 1, skipping over 2 and going through the next single bead. So pick up 1, skip over 2, go through the next one, pick up 1, skip over 2, go through the next one. So we've added 3, so go ahead and add 5 more beads. And last one of the row, so skip over the 2 as always, go through the next one and then also step up into that bead above. Now pull it nice and tight and you should feel them close in a little bit like that. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more rows of adding single beads. So picking up 1, coming out here, you're going to skip over 1 and go through the next one. Picking up 1, skipping over 1 and going through the next one. Picking up 1, skipping over 1 and going through the next one. Picking up 1, skipping over 1 and going through the next one. So do that all the way around until you've added 8 beads. Pick up 1, skip over 1, go through the next one. Pick up 1, skip over 1, go through the next one. Pick up 1, skip over 1, through the next one. Pick up 1, skip over 1, go through the next one, and as it's the last one, step up into that bead above as well. So don't worry about this row if they look like they're not going to fit in the gaps. That's what's going to make it curve up into the bottle shape, so don't worry about that. Okay, so 1 more row of doing that exact same thing. So picking up 1, skipping over 1 and going through the next one on the very top row. That's 1, so picking up 1, skipping over 1, going through the next one on the top row. Pick up 1, skip over 1, go through the next one on the top row and do that 8 times. So we've done 3, so add 5 more beads. And when you get to the last one, don't forget to go through the last bead and then up into the bead above as well. Okay, so now we have this and it's just coming a little bit. It looks like a cute little money bag at the minute. Okay, so now we're going to decrease back down to 4 beads in a row. So picking up 1 and you're going to go through the next 2 beads on the top row. So you're skipping over 1, going through the next one, skipping over 1 and through the next one. So you're coming out here and you're going through the next 2 beads on the top row. Okay, picking up your next one and doing the same again. So picking up 1 and going through the next 2 beads on the top row, and if you turn it sideways like I have done here, you can see which 2 are on the top row. These 2 here that sit much higher than the others. Okay, next one, do the same again. So pick up one and go through the next 2 on the top row. And final one of this row, go through the next 2 and then up into the row above. Okay, and pull that nice and tight, and that should begin to close in when you pull it tight like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put one bead in between each of those 4 that we're now working with. So pick up one, coming out here, skip those 2 on the corner and go through the next single bead on the top row. Okay, picking up one, coming out here, skip those 2, go through that next single bead on the top row. And again, picking up one, skipping the 2 underneath and go through that next single bead. And last one of this row, we're now working with 4 beads, remember. Skip over 2, go through that next single bead and then up into the row above, as always. So now we have this and it's come like almost closed together. So now we're working with these 4 beads and we're going to be putting 1 bead in between each of them. Okay, so picking up one, coming out of this one, you're going to go straight into that next one in that little group of 4. Picking up one, so we're coming out of this one on the side, so you're going to go through that bottom bead in that group of 4. Picking up one, and now you're going to go through the next bead in that group of 4. And picking up one and going through that last bead in that group of 4, like that, and then stepping up into the bead above. Pull it nice and tight. So now we have this. So now you're just going to carry on adding 4 beads in this row in the same way. So picking up one, coming out here, skip over that one, go through the next one on the top row. Pick up one, skip over that one, go through the next one on the top row. Pick up one, skip over one, go through the next one. Pick up one, skip over one, go through the next one, and then step up into the bead above as well. Okay, I'm going to show you one more time. So pick up one, skip over one, go through the next bead in the top row. And do that 3 more times. So pick up one, skip over one, through the next one. Pick up one, skip over one, go through the next one. Skip over one, go through the next one and up into the one above. Pull it nice and tight. So you're always working with those 4 topmost beads, so you're picking up one, skipping over one, going through the next one, and you're adding 4 beads in each row. Don't forget to step up at the end of each row, and you're going to do that for 4 more rows, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so once you've done that, it should look something like this. So now you're going to need your colour for your cork, and you're going to do 4 more rows in exactly the same way using your cork colour. So picking up one, skipping over one, going through the next one, adding 4 beads in each row and not forgetting to step up at the end of the row. So this is the first row with the cork colours. So you need 4 of those in total, so go ahead and add 3 more rows with your cork colour. Okay, so once you've added 4, it should look like this, and then these last 4 beads that you added, you're going to sew through all 4 of those to bring them together like this. Okay, so you have this, so now you're going to need your jump ring. Okay, so picking up your jump ring, you're coming out of this bead at the front of the bottle in this direction. You picked up your jump ring and you're going to cross diagonally, and you're going to go through this bead at the back in the same direction. So you're going to take your needle through it that way. So you 2 threads are going to be coming parallel. Pull that through like that. Now you're going to go back through the jump ring that we just added, and back into the jump ring on the front, but you're already connected this side, it's coming out of this side, so you're going to go into the jump ring on the other side, just so that that jump ring, into that bead on the other side, sorry, just so the jump ring's connected to it on both sides like that, so there's a cross going through the jump ring. So you can go back through that again if you want, and then you're going to move down through 2 of these beads, so down through one, then turn it round and down through the next one like that, and turn again and go down through that last beige bead, so you're here like this, and now you're going to go down through the next one diagonally, which is this purple one here. So you should be coming out here like this. Now you're going to pick up one, and you're coming out of this one, you're going to turn it around and you're going to go through the next single purple bead that's at the very top row of purple beads, so through that next one. Okay, picking up another purple bead and do the same again, so you're coming out of here, you're going to turn it around and go through that next top purple bead, and again picking up one and go through the next top of the purple bead, and last one, I'm going to go through that last purple bead we haven't gone through yet, and that just adds like a little edge, so it looks like the bottle's got a rim and the cork is sitting inside. So that's it finished, so now all we need to do is tie knots and cut your threads off, and then we're all done. Okay, so once you've tied off your threads, then that's your finished bottle. I think these look really cute together. They'd be really fun, like mismatched earrings. So I hope you enjoyed and found it helpful, and I hope you're able to make one of these adorable little potion bottles. So let me know if you do, and comment down below what else you'd like to see, and leave me some ideas for Christmas videos, and like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to see more of my videos, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at beading by Hannah. Thanks so much for watching everyone, see you next time, bye!